You need to see me first. Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. This is Alejandra Horvath. Thank you so much for joining me today. And this is take 2 of this quick video on how to append tables with VSTACK or Power Query, whatever is your preference. The first take was a disaster. So here I am. Here I'm back. So many errors that happened that I don't want to confuse you. I want to provide you information that is going to be useful. So for that reason, if you receive the notification for the previous presentation, just discard that and just pay attention to this one. The video is not available anyways anymore, the first one. So welcome. And let's do this all over again. Excellent. So I'm going to start sharing my screen so I can show you what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start presenting here. It always takes me a little bit of time just to find the right screen. Perfect. Now you can see it. Excellent. So let me just check one more thing. I just want to make sure that you can see me properly. And I just totally forgot to open that window. It seems like it's working well. I don't see anybody yet, but little by little, I hope you start joining. Perfect. So here I have on my workbook, I have a new sheet, let's say. It's called a new tab. It's called VSTACK, and I have only some titles, some headers there. And the next tabs, I have store 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of these are tables. This is, if I go to table design, you can see it's table 4, store 4 is table 4, store 3, table 3, and so on and so forth. All of these tables have the same structure, have store, product, quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the total. And all of them start in B2. And I'm going to go to my VSTACK tab, and I'm going to use, of course, the function VSTACK. This function is available in Microsoft 365, so it's just fantastic. So here it is, open parentheses, and I'm going to select my arrays. It's going to ask me for the first array. So I'm going to go to the next tab, that is store 1. And from there, I'm going to press and hold the shift key. I'm going to select store 4, so I can select the 4 sheets at once. This is called 3D selection. So here on my table, you can see that on the left, I have my arrow pointing in kind of a little bit diagonal form. So I'm going to click there. You can see that it has selected the inside of the table. I could have selected the range as well. And here you can see in the formula bar how I'm selecting from store 1 to store 4, and I'm selecting from B3 to H17. This is very important because you can see that it's not referencing to tables, it's referencing to ranges. So that said, every time that I add something to my table, it's not going to automatically be added to this big table, right? So here I already have all my tables in one big table. Let's say store 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. Now, what happens if I go to store 1? I'm going to add one line here. I'm going to select the whole line, Control D to just duplicate whatever is coming from the previous row. And I'm going to call this product 1500. I'm going to change the numbers here. I'm going to say I'm going to replace this with 1,000, Control Enter. I select first the range, Control Enter. And from there, I'm going to go and it's 4,000. Perfect. I'm going to go to my VSTACK and it's not here. From store 1 goes to store 2, stops store 1 on product 15. But I added product 1500 and it's part of the table. You can see here, the table is up to here. So that is because the function is referring to a range. What I can do, I can expand this range, let's say to 100. Great, now I have my line, but now I have a lot of zeros. And that is because all those cells from the cell 19 to the 100 are going to be blank. So what I need to do here is I'm going to combine the VSTACK after the equal. I'm going to combine it with the filter function. Open parentheses, my array will be this result, the table that I am seeing right now, that is the result of the VSTACK function. I'm going to go to the end and I'm going to paste exactly the same information. I selected VSTACK, Control C, and now I'm pasting that here after the comma because I'm going to reference just to one column that is going to be column B. And I want that that column is not equal to blank. I'm going to just provide the quotation marks and I'm going to press enter. Now you see that I don't have the zeros and I have my product 1500. That's perfect. Okay, excellent. Let me see here. I thought I saw a comment. No, sorry. Perfect. Now I have that information that is dynamic. Excellent. Let's see how we do this with Power Query. And I'm gonna do it in the same workbook. Ideally, you don't do that. Ideally, you do it with a different workbook. But let's say you have to do it in the same workbook. And I'm gonna go to data, get data from file from Excel workbook. And the file that we're working with is VSTACK and Append. This one, not the Spanish, but the other one. I'm gonna double click there. That is the same workbook that we're working on. Here, the navigator opened and it's gonna show me the content of that file. This is the file, and these are all the tables. And because I already worked with this before, I have a table here. Oh, I didn't delete that query. Let me delete that query first. So I'm gonna go to data, queries and connection. I'm telling you, this is take two. So I had the query here. So I'm gonna select the query and I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna say delete. So we start completely from scratch. And I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna refresh. And now let's go to data, get data, file from Excel workbook. Same thing, VSTACK append, double click there. The navigator opens, and now I don't have the other one. It's very important that we look at that other one that we're gonna create later on, because that's where I had the errors before. So here in the navigator, I'm gonna select the file. These are the tables, and these are the 5 sheets. I have 4 tables only, but I have 5 sheets because that is including the sheet with the VSTACK, the one that I have the formula, the function here. It's not a table, it's a function. So I can click at transform data, or I can just select the file and right click and select transform data. Once I have that information here, the Power Query editor opens, and from there I'm gonna have just this table, which will show the same thing, the content of the file. Ctrl-G plugs to sum in, and this is the name of the file. So I'm going to change that. That is the name of the query. I'm going to change that for Power Query example. Enter. I'm going to hide this part, and I'm going to just keep this table. Now you can see that I have sheets and I have tables. So I want to keep only the tables because those are the ones, if I click here on data where it says table, here on the white part beside table, you can see that I have all the content that I need. Of course, with the sheets, I will have that content as well, but it's not a table. And you can see even the headers are part of the table as first line. So every time that I have a table, most times, actually, I select the tables, right? So 98% of the times, I select the tables, right? So there must be a specific case why I couldn't, but in most cases, I will always select the tables. Perfect. So I'm going to start filtering this information, and I can do it manually, or I can go to column kind, click at the row, and select only table. And I'm going to say, okay, be careful. When you do that, in this case, the code is correct. It's selecting the rows from the table that is coming from the previous step. It's processing the following with each word, which is a keyword for a function. And it is selecting from the column kind everything that is equal to table. Be careful because sometimes Power Query will say, in my case, could have said is not equal to sheet. So be very careful because sometimes does that, and it creates error later on if we don't have the correct filter. In this case, identify my filter correctly. So that's all that I want to do. Perfect. This is what I wanted to do. So now that I have that, I can combine the tables that are on my column data. So I'm going to create a new step. I'm going to say equal table combine, open parentheses, to the tables I need to provide as a list. The tables are coming from my previous step, from my column data. I need to provide this as a list. So I'm going to make a projection for the column data from that table that is coming from the previous step, close parentheses, enter. Now I have my all my tables combined in only one big one. That's all that I want. I'm going to go home, close and load to, and I'm going to create a table just beside this result from the VSTACK formula. So, or the function, sorry. So I'm going to select existing worksheet. Ideally, you don't do this. Ideally, just select another sheet, but it depends of everybody needs, right? So in this case, for this tutorial, I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to say, okay. Now I have the table, and both tables, when we go down, are the same size, right? Well, perfect. So I'm going to save this. It's done, it's saved. I'm going to go to store, and I'm going to decide to add another, store one, sorry, and I'm going to add one more line, Control D to copy the last line, and I'm going to change that product for 8,000. That's going to be product 8,000, and the amounts are going to be $8,000. Actually, something different, 7,000. Control Enter, and then I'm going to restack. Here is my line, right? So I'm going to highlight that one. My new line is there. And I go to my table in Power Query. I'm going to right click and I'm going to refresh. And the line is not here yet. And that is because Power Query is grabbing the information from the file that is saved. The file that we created and saved last time, that is information that Power Query is bringing. Of course, I now know this, but an hour ago, I was struggling. I didn't remember I had to save it first. So, and because I'm working inside of the same file where I'm bringing the information from, I have to save first for Power Query to bring that information, right? So ideally, as I said, you do this in a different file, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm doing it in the same file. And it helped me to identify these issues. So here comes the next issue. I just save it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to refresh. And I cannot see the line here anymore, or not yet. What is going on? But now, if I go to the bottom, I have that table, and now I have another table with the line, right? So what is the line? The 8,000. Oh, did I save? Let me save. Right click and refresh. Eh? What happened? Let me go to store one. And again, I'm having that issue over again. Oh, let me go to the end and scroll up. And now it's here. What is going on, right? So it's here, but look how many tables I have in here. Now it's here again. And now it's not here. And it's not here. I have 4 times this table. And what is going on? Well, I created this as a table. Remember, when we filter the information that we are bringing from the file, we're bringing tables. So I'm going to double click here on my queries. Let's go back to the query. And remember, Ctrl+C plus to zoom in. I'm going to go to the source. Here we have all the content of my file. I'm going to go to filter the rows, and I'm just going to refresh the preview. I have one more table, which is the result of my first try with this query. Now I have the table that I created in that tab VSTACK. Well, now it came here, it's a table. So the filter is correct, it's bringing only the tables, but I don't want this table. When we bring this information to Power Query, in this example, Power Query has created table, underscore, and the name of the query. Remember, the name of the query is PQ example. Well, to avoid this error to happen again, I'm going to go to the formula bar, and I'm going to add one more criteria. And I'm going to say that the text should not contains, open parentheses. What is the text? The text is coming from my column name, and that should not contain the underscore. The underscore goes inside of the quotation marks, enter. And now that table is not included in my query. So I'm going to go to the next step. So you can see that I don't have more than one table, more than one combined table. So I'm going to go to close and load. Let's go here. And now that is refreshed, here I have my line with the 8,000 right here. I have it as well. I'm going to go to the end. The tables end in the same row. Perfect. Let's go again to store one and see what happens. I'm going to control D, the last line. I'm going to change this for 3,000, product 3,000, and I'm going to change this amount for 5,000. Control Enter. I'm going to go to my VSTACK. It's going to be there for sure, right? So I'm going to right click and I'm going to just select another color. I'm going to say it's going to be green. Oh, maybe another color because the table beside is green. So here I'm going to go and select this color. In Power Query, it's not there yet. I'm going to right click and I'm going to refresh. Doesn't refresh because I haven't saved. Control S to save, or I have in my quick bar on the top, I have the icon of that little disk. I save, I right click and I refresh. And now I have my new line. So now it seems very simple, but it gave me a lot of issues in the previous presentation. So please ignore the previous video that I created this morning. So this is a good one. So I have removed the other one. So hope I don't want to confuse you, as I said at the beginning. So I hope you find this information useful. If you like it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also share it with anybody that you believe can benefit from it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you actually tonight with another Saturday with Power Query. I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.